प्रभजतौ जीवार्थदौ मुदा वन्दे रूपसनातनं रघुजगं श्रीजीवगोपालकं कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association and the Hare Krishna Society, which was started by Yashodanandana Prabhu in 2002. So it has a history that is representing the legacy of Srila Prabhupada in his unchanged books and in his instructions, which he encouraged us to critically study. This is a very important part of our training, is to critically study the books. And you'll notice this week in our series of classes that we're probing into the different purports that Srila Prabhupada gives us. Some people look at us and go, well, how come you're bringing this up all as a topic? Well, it's not us bringing up the topic. It's Prabhupada bringing up the topic, and we are simply repeating it. That is the essence of our philosophy, of being disciples of a bona fide spiritual master. You simply repeat what you hear from him. Don't concoct, don't speculate, don't manufacture, because that is the business of those who are in Maya. That's what they do. They're in Maya, and they represent their own particular position. Where is their authority when they repeat things that they've concocted? There is no authority. It's called mental speculation. And mental speculation is so prominent in the material world. That's the main business of the mind, to guess, to think, to concoct, to speculate. And on it goes. And we're all victims of that, by the way. It's not that we're saying that we're above that. We're working towards getting better by constantly studying Prabhupada's books and hearing the messages that he is giving us. Some people criticize us. Well, you're bringing it up. It's not us. Don't shoot the messenger. That's what people do. Well, I saw you read this, and why do you keep bringing it up? It's not us. It's Prabhupada. In the Bhagavad Gita, yesterday I was reading the purport at the end of the 17th chapter. Okay? And it talks specifically about a bona fide spiritual master. That's what it's speaking about. Well, it was interesting, in my early years in Krishna consciousness, I was always impressed by Prabhupada, the way he presented the philosophy and mentioned about bona fide, but he never mentioned his name. You notice that? You don't see in any of the purports in the whole Bhagavad Gita, the entire Bhagavad Gita, 846 pages, you don't see Prabhupada go, and the bona fide spiritual master is His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Does he mention it, Panchagoda? Did you see his name once? It used to astonish me to read it and see that he never mentioned himself once. But we do. We do say who it is. That's the difference. Because we acknowledge him. He was such a advanced spiritual personality in the chain of disciplic succession from His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, the 6 Goswamis, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we all know, when people used to glorify him, Panchagoda, what would he do? He'd take his hands and put them over his ears. No, please don't do that. And that is the supreme personality of Godhead. And he showed by example how to be a devotee, how to be a sannyasi, incidentally. He was very strict. And I wanted to mention again today, because it is just proliferating all over the internet about this fiasco with the ISKCON gurus. Oh, yes. It's just, someone sent me this interview yesterday from England. So some guy there, I don't know who he is. I don't know what he is. I don't know what he's doing, but he has this talk radio show online. And he interviewed I don't know how many ladies this Giriraj was with. It seems like there was a multiple group of them. It's not just one. There's 1, 2, 3. I'm seeing 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. And what do we learn from this? What are we learning from this? Well, it's the same old thing. It's the material world, the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, the mode of ignorance, and it's affecting people at different stages of their life or evolution. So what are we learning from this? Oh, yes, that this system that they've introduced into the ISKCON society of elected gurus, fake gurus, is apparently revealing itself as fraudulent. That's all. And so one devotee from Germany was in touch with me this morning, and I told him that. He goes, "You're right. Yeah, I mean, do we delight in it? No. Is it interesting? No, it isn't, actually. It's disturbing. And we don't want to discuss it much. I'm not really going to. I'm just saying it's a blessing. It's a blessing. And it's 100% proof that what we are saying here in this Sangha is true. And there it is. Yet still, think about it like this, Prabhus, Mataji, all of us. Just think about this. Still people persist to buy into the cover-up. Like, I just say, stupid. Why would you say that? Well, it's blatantly obvious as a $3 bill that this is a fraud, and people still go, well, he has dementia, some kind of disease. And then the lady in the interview, I did watch it a couple of weeks ago, she goes, he doesn't have dementia, it's just a cover-up. They don't want it to be exposed. Okay, I'm actually, it's pathetic to have to hear it, because Prabhupada did create such a glorious movement. He did. Amazing. And Prabhupada mentions it in this lecture I've been reading and studying over the period of, say, a year. I've been listening to Yashodanandana Prabhu because my car, the CD player, I'm afraid it won't work. And when it started to work again, I thought, okay, I'm not going to touch the CD. I'm just going to listen to it every time I get in my car. So it's the same lectures. There's 2 of them. And by the way, everyone, every time I hear them, they're ever fresh. They are. You don't need to keep studying and studying. It's good to constantly learn. But if you can, Prabhupada said, if you can just understand one verse, you can go back to Godhead. Just one verse. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. All of them as they surrender unto me. Give up all varieties of religionists and just surrender unto me. If you can understand that Panchagoda, what else do you need to know? What else? Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that there's a wealth of information in Prabhupada's speech. Because whenever the spiritual master speaks, it is Shastra. Someone would say, well, and some of our God brothers say, well, Prabhupada's dead. Oh, how stupid can you be? How many times have you not read the books or not chanted your rounds or faked your role as a so-called spiritual leader, an acharya in our disciplic succession, when in fact you're a fraud, a total fraud? And somehow or other you're pretending, posturing, posing for self-aggrandizement. And Prabhupada said this. He said a great movement. What movement was he speaking about? He was speaking about the Gaudiya Math specifically. A great movement was destroyed due to whimsical behavior. Yes. And he said, this is my practical experience. He experienced it himself in his own life. What went on after Bhaktisiddhanta, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, after he left this mortal world. Prabhupada saw it happen. And there are so many letters, the letter to Rupanuga, the letter on Dome, direction of management. There's his will, last will and testament. There's all kinds of documents that reveal how he wanted us to deal with his society, not yours, not mine, his society, after he left us to take care of it. Yes, but still people do to, as he said, in the Gaudiya Math, the same thing happened. Why did Prabhupada leave India? By himself with no money. He was disgusted. That's why. Oh, someone said, oh, why would he be? Because nobody would listen to him. And he was a pure devotee of his spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. He was a pure devotee. Yes. And he is our Acharya. And he lives in sound in his Vani incarnation. Yet people still don't accept it. Oh, we have to have Vapu. And look what happens to Vapu, these so-called people. And it's interesting to note, and I'll finish up, this recent fall down of this individual, and he's been falling down for years. It's not just that it happened, it's all come out now. Like I was watching him chant his japa about 6 months ago. It was like this. I go, what the heck is that? Is this guy pretending? If you go back and look at it, not enunciating the 16 words, the syllables, not chanting, not focused, not endeavoring to repeat the name, capture it between the ear and the tongue so you can capture the mind. Not even close. And look what's happened. He's been in the material pool for years and years and years. And this is a fraud. And so we should be thankful that we're here at this stage in our life. And we are thankful that other people are supporting how we perceive things. And we are thankful that we still have the life force in us to continue on with this process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, hearing the philosophy in our beautiful classes every day. Yesterday I was in bliss, actually, not some kind of prema thing, but some happiness of hearing everyone speak and enjoying the association. There is such a thing as Sat Chit Ananda, yes, not Asat Achit Nirananda, which everybody in this material world is suffering from, everybody. And we're blessed, very, very blessed to be together and work together. Yes, we have to work together. That, unfortunately, anarchy is everywhere. In every facet of this world, everybody is on their own doing whatever they think. Very few people cooperate. I saw cooperation when we had our center in Montreal and Toronto. Nandi Keshwar used to be in Montreal. He had a wonderful group of devotees he worked with, as all of you know. It was really exciting. In Toronto, the same. Lakshminath in Ottawa and Bahudak in Vancouver. Yeah, that was the triumphant temple presidents. So we'll go now to the readings of the diaries.
Jai Bahudak, Haribol.
Yeah, he was a good chanter. He used to come to Toronto.
I remember his kirtans were just incredibly tumultuous. Oh my God, Jai Haribol.
Yeah, we were all friends. We all got along. Thank you, Krishna Katha. We're going to go to the Bowery. Back into time, everyone, to the diaries. So let's enjoy this. I know this is one of Yashoda Nandana's favorite parts of the program, to hear the diaries. So we're at the Bowery, April 1st through to June 30th in the Bowery summary. Beginning with the first meeting at the Bowery Loft, more people attended the classes. Srila Prabhupada maintains contact with Dr. Mishra and occasionally visits Ananda Ashram. On weekends, Harvey Cohen loans Srila Prabhupada his typewriter, and Paul Murray supplies a tape recorder for the classes. Prabhupada had just had them robbed from his room at 301 at the office building. Paul expresses seriousness about becoming a Vaishnava and runs daily errands for Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada attempts unsuccessfully to get free passage for Paul to go to India on this Scindia shipping line. At the end of April, Srila Prabhupada vacates the room on 72nd Street around the beginning of May. Carl Jurgens, later to be initiated as Karlapati Das, begins attending the meetings and donates a tape recorder at the request of some students. Srila Prabhupada begins teaching Sanskrit on May 9th. 14 men and women attend the class. So some momentum. Srila Prabhupada begins the process of incorporating a society and gives Carl a copy of the Memorandum of Association of the League of Devotees, which he has used years ago in India so he can consult with a lawyer. Srila Prabhupada discusses with Carl the use of the drug LSD and convinces him that it is unnecessary for spiritual revelation. Srila Prabhupada receives a letter from Mangala Niloy Brahmachari in India, who offers to come to America to help in the mission. On May 25th, Srila Prabhupada holds consultations about incorporating the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Some days later, Srila Prabhupada meets with Stephen Goldsmith, a lawyer. This effort continues until July, when the society is registered. At the end of May, Paul's behavior becomes erratic due to intoxication. Srila Prabhupada looks for a new place. Danger. In June, the weather becomes very hot and attendance in classes increases. On June 9th, Srila Prabhupada receives the final letter from Sri Padampat Singh, refusing to help with purchasing a temple building. On Sunday, June 12th, Srila Prabhupada holds the first feast for the members of his fledgling society and cooks 12 different preparations. Wow. Sunday, June 12th, 1966, the first Sunday feast. 16 people attend on June 23rd, and Mike, later to become Mukunda Das, asked to become a Vaishnava and tells Srila Prabhupada that he will marry his girlfriend later on in September at Srila Prabhupada's apartment on 26 2nd Avenue. Mukunda and Janaki are married in the first wedding ceremony to take place in ISKCON, June 23rd. Presided over by Srila Prabhupada, although this event is not mentioned by Srila Prabhupada in the journal. So we'll read some of the highlights, April highlights. Let's go. The books. Rupesh, let's read from the book section. That's April 1st. One Mr. Pop came to see me. He saw the books, took one copy of the first part and paid $6. On the 4th of April, he went to see Mr. Bogart, his publisher, Mr. Lawton, interested in publishing Srimad Bhagavatam. Mr. Bogart gave typewriter and tape recorder. Typewriter was good and tape recorder was defective. Today, on the 10th, these are the highlights. I'm working on Cohen's big Royal typewriter, and it is very good for hard working. On April the 14th, Elsie paid $31.50 for books. On the 15th, the books were delivered to Elsie, 2 sets of books for sale in charge of Paul Murray. On the 17th, one book due to Elsie was delivered via the studio. Book sale was $10. And on the 26th, to income of book, $5. So not much money went by there. Classes and kirtans. Now we're going to see this has quite been expanded here. Prabhupada has something almost every day for classes and kirtans. On the 1st in the evening, meeting experimentally held at Paul's Place, 94 Bowery Place. The attendance was 4. Mr. Green paid only $5. On the 2nd, went with Yolanda and Cynthia to Ananda Ashram, passed the night and held kirtan, and it was appreciated. On the 3rd, Dr. Mishra gave me a tape recorder which is not working. On the 4th, came to Paul's Place. There was a meeting in kirtan, Harikatha, no income. On the 5th, the whole day was at Paul's Place. In the evening, we held kirtan together. He is hopeful. So this is at the loft. On the 6th at evening, there was a meeting. There were 7 boys and girls. All attended the meeting carefully. Some brought rice, atta, and fruits. There was no collection. So he's calling these teenagers and young adults boys and girls. I cooked food on the 7th and dined with Paul and Sakar. Paul promises to organize. He attended the morning class punctually. On the 8th, the whole day and night, I also stayed at Paul's. Evening, there was a meeting. 7 boys and girls attended. The contribution was $5 and some fruits also. On the 11th of April, 1966, in the evening, there was a meeting. 7 gentlemen attended. The collection was $5. No Lakshmi, really. 11th in the evening, the meeting was 7 gentlemen. Yeah. 13th, the evening, 8 ladies and a gentleman attended the meeting. Income was $1. On the 15th, collection in the meeting, $4. Prabhupada's just keeping track of what the Lakshmi is. It's not he's attached to Lakshmi, he's just a very expert bookkeeper. Yolanda took me to the ashram and there was a kirtan in the evening. On the 20th, evening meeting at 7 to 9 p.m. only for 4 persons attended. The collection was $4. Everybody gave $1, it appears. On the 22nd in the evening, 5 gentlemen attended and $4 contribution. In the evening on the 25th, a meeting was held. Contribution was $4.60. So it was steady with these evening classes. On the 27th evening, there was a meeting. 6 ladies and a gentleman attended. Income was $5. Today, I brought all things from 72nd Street to Paul's Loft. And on the 29th, there was a meeting. 5 gentlemen attended. The contribution was $14. Today, Paul and self observed Ekadasi in the afternoon. We both went to Ananda Ashram. So this is from April to May. So some insight here on how many things Prabhupada was doing. We'll continue on Thursday night, by the way, for Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. So please tune in there. And we'll read about letter and contents that evening. So thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava and then the reading and discussion with His Grace, Yashodanandana Prabhu in California. Hare Krishna.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. समाज भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I do offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Naranarayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Purana. This discussion is based on the original 1962 New Delhi edition and all synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Just want to point out, every time that we read this lecture, we read a few selected verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam to explain the meaning and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 15. Yadanudyasina yuktaha karma grantini bandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim. Intelligent persons do cut off the internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Shushrushoho Shraddhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. All the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done. And as the result of such great service, affinity in the message of Vasudeva is made possible. Srinvatam Svakata Krishna Punyasravana Kirtanaham Hridyantastoya Badrani Vidhunoti surit satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who's also the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtaprayeshu babadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Bhaktira Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class, or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadarajastamo baba kamalo badayaschaye chetayeterana viddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time, the effects of the modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in the mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manasu bhagavad bhakti yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Mukta Sangasya Jayate. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man, affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord, can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. This week, we will be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 5, text number 33. This is the continuation of the discussion between Narada Muni and Vyasadeva. Amayo yascha bhutanam jayate yena subhrata Tadeva amoya dravyam napunati chikitsitam amayo diseases. Yascha whatever. Bhutanam of the living being. Yena by the agency. Jayate become possible. Suvrata the good soul. Tad that. Eva very. Dravya thing. Na does it not. Punati cure. Chikitsitam treated with. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The good soul does a thing therapeutically treated cure a disease which was caused by the very same thing. Purport by His Divine Grace. Expert physician treats his patient with therapeutically treated diet. For example, milk preparation sometimes causes disorder of the bowel, but the very milk converted into curd and mixed up with some other remedial ingredients cures such disorder of the bowel. That is our daily experience. Similarly, the threefold miseries of material existence cannot be mitigated simply by material activities. Such material activities have to be turned into the spiritual force, just like iron is made red hot, and thereby the action of fire begins. Similarly, the material conception of a thing is at once changed as soon as the same thing is made into use in relation with the service of the Lord. That is the secret of spiritual success. We should not try to lord it over the material nature, neither we shall reject it by material conception of the thing. The best way of making the best use of a bad bargain is to use everything in relation with the supreme spiritual being. Everything is emanation from the supreme spirit, and by his inconceivable power, he can convert the spirit into matter and the matter into spirit. Therefore, a material thing, so-called, is at once turned into spiritual force by the great will of the Lord, who is able to do so. The necessary condition for such change of matter into spirit is to employ the so-called matter in the service of the spirit. That is the way of treating our material diseases and elevate ourselves up to the spiritual plane where there is no misery, no lamentation, and no fear. When everything is thus employed in the service of the Lord, we can experience that there is nothing except the Supreme Brahman. The Vedic mantra that everything is Brahman is thus realized by us. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadati Hibisheshataham Adadanastrinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaham Srimadrupa Padam Bhojadulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Sat Karomi Svam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This text is very important to understand the process of bhakti, which is often translated as devotional service. Prabhupada many times adds the words loving devotional service. And what is that? That is the natural propensity of the living being. As part of these reading and discussions, we've often discussed a text from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author, explains Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoi Sravanadi Shuddhachitti Karaya Udoy. That this transcendental process of reviving our original love, our original affection for God, this is not an artificial process, because this is within everyone. This Krishna Prema, this love of Krishna, love of God, is there within every living entity, especially human being. But how is it revived? It is explained Shravan Adi. Shravan means the process of hearing, chanting, remembering, like that. There's 9 processes. And the beginning process is the hearing process. Prabhupada used to often explain that hearing is a very important thing. If a man is asleep, all of his senses are in a sluggish state, inert state, but the hearing stage is still there. He can still hear. So this is very important. In the same way, by hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, one can start to develop this transcendental feeling of affection and service for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Prabhupada explains in his purport, similarly, the threefold miseries of material existence cannot be mitigated simply by material activities. Such material activities have to be turned into spiritual force, just like iron is made red hot, and thereby the action of fire begins. Similarly, the material conception of a thing is at once changed as soon as the same thing is made into use in relation with the service of the Lord. That is the secret of spiritual success. Now, this is a very simple proposition here. What Prabhupada is explaining is that material arrangement will not solve the material problems. Every day, all around the world, we hear different politicians, different leaders, different industrialists suggesting various means to relieve the miseries of material existence. Whether it is a disaster, whether it is a flood or some heat wave or too much snow, or some war or some conflict somewhere, or an economic disturbance. There are so many disturbances in the material world. We were discussing on Thursday night how in this material world there are three basic fundamental miseries. Adhyatmika klesha, miseries due to one's own body. Adibhautika klesha, miseries due to other living entities, envious human beings, animals, insects. And adidaivika klesha, miseries due to the influence of material nature, the demigod. We all know that there is much propaganda and much discussion by various persons about UFOs, unidentified flying objects. But we know from Shastra, from revealed scriptures, that there's IFO, identified flying objects. And what is that? The demigods who live in the higher planets, they used to come to this planet to take part in fire sacrifices. Srila Prabhupada explains in the Nectar of Devotion, the translation of Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that the wives of the demigods used to play to Lord Vishnu to send an incarnation to stop all these fire sacrifices so that their husband would stay with them in the higher planets. Therefore, Lord Buddha appeared several hundred years before Jesus Christ. So then, when the sacrifices were curtailed, the demigods stopped coming to this planet. But they used to come on a regular basis in the previous yuga, prior to 5,000 years ago, prior to 2,400 years ago. We get information that from the Srimad Bhagavatam that there are very powerful living beings in higher planets that control the universal affairs. Everyone is worried in America about the effect of the tornado, the cyclones that hit Florida. There's so much rain, so much wind, so much devastation, so much damage. People died. People are suffering, no electricity in a lot of places. People's homes have been completely devastated. For those of you who know, those a few of us who have been born in Canada, in the winter, in Canada, it gets very cold with a lot of snow. When I was young in the 1950s, sometimes we would get 7, 8 feet of snow on the side of the road. Now it's a little different now with some so-called climate change. But the reality is that even though we don't like those conditions, you can't change it. Now, you can bring a snowblower or a shovel and you can move the snow to make a path to the house or the road, but the misery is still there. Just like in Florida, there was a major problem. Who can stop it? For those who are asura or atheistic, if they claim there is no God, so why don't you stop these calamities? Here in California, there's constant earthquakes. There is a website, the United States Geological Service, that you can check the earthquakes as they happen. Now, in this particular location on the western side of the Sierra Nevada, not so much. If you look at the maps on the eastern side of the Sierra Nevada, it's earthquake central. There's hundreds of earthquakes constantly. But who can stop it? Who can counteract this difficult position? Who can counteract the excessive snow in Canada or Minnesota or Montana? It cannot be done. The only way to counteract it is to get out of this current position, to get out of this suffering position. Well, how do we do that? People say, well, I don't know how to do that. Well, the information is there in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains that if one goes back to the spiritual world, no more suffering, no more birth, no more death, no more old age and disease, no more suffering, a perpetual life of perpetual happiness with a body, with a form, a transcendental form, a spiritual form that does not suffer. This is inconceivable in this world. But in this life, one can start the process. How? By hearing. By the process of hearing. And by the process of hearing from authorized sources, one can gradually, and very quickly also, make spiritual advancement to become free from the influence of the mode of passion and ignorance. Every time we hold these classes, we read some selected verses from Canto 1, Chapter 2, about the effect of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's interesting because in Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 18, it is described, Nashta prayeshu vabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class, or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental song, comes into being an irrevocable fact. And Prabhupada mentions, here is the remedy for eliminating all inauspicious things within the heart considered to be obstacles in the path of self-realization. One has to hear the message of the Bhagavatam from the devotee Bhagavata, from the self-realized devotee. And if one does this and engages his senses in the service of Krishna, one will become purified from the influence of the mode of passion and ignorance. And what is that? Kama, krodha, lobha, lust, anger, greed, which are constantly troubling the living entity. And this is done, it is not very difficult. Prabhupada is given the remedy. If one Prabhupada is given all these translations of these texts, Sanskrit texts, Bengali texts, which explain the science of how to revive that original loving feeling. Everybody is looking for love, for affection, for kindness. Just today, I received a YouTube video of somebody who has in Texas, USA, they started a farm to protect cows and bulls. It's interesting that the cows, as soon as they give birth to a little calf, what do? There's some affectionate dealings with one another. Now, there's some religionists fanatics who say that the animals have no soul. How are they conscious? Are they exhibiting affection? How are they exhibiting loving feelings if they have no soul? Every living entity has a soul, but the developed consciousness is only in the human form of life, because we have the facility to inquire what is God, what is the living entity, what will happen after death, and find the answers. The Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita gives all the answers. In the Vedas, there's a very famous text called the Purusha Sukta, which explains the creation of the universe and how the whole universe becomes populated with living entities. And as part of this hymn, Vedic hymn, there is one of the hymns says, Vedaham etan purushan mahantam aditya varnam tamasah parastat tameva viditvatim rityumeti nanya panta vidyate ayanaya. That by understanding and knowing that Supreme Personality who is bright as the sun, one becomes liberated and eliminates all suffering. Same message as in the Bhagavad Gita, but it's not very difficult. Somebody may say, well, that sounds a little complicated. No, it's very simple. How do we do it? With the tongue. It starts with the tongue. The tongue has two basic functions: to vibrate sound and to eat, to taste. So one should vibrate things in relation to Krishna, the name of Krishna, and one should eat foodstuffs that have been offered to Krishna. Now, Krishna will not eat meat, fish, eggs, onions, garlic, all kinds of nonsense foods. It's simple. Fruits, vegetables, grains, milk. Very simple. It's not very complicated. You have to eat. So we offer those things very nicely to Krishna with love and devotion. And this is the start of the purification process. Not complicated, not difficult. But if one insists and persists on engaging in killing animals to live, then the karma comes in. The vikarma, the bad karma and bad result will come in, both individually and collectively. Therefore, one should refrain from unnecessary animal killing. Eat simple foods, offer the foodstuff to Krishna, to God, and take part of the remnants of sanctified food as prasadam. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Vishwakarma. Haribo. Okay, we'll keep talking.
I was getting a scripture for reference. I didn't know you were going to stop right then, but
Excellent.
no problem. Because these points that you've made today are very valuable in understanding what is real renunciation. Because people are confused. They think renunciation is change of dress. But no, Prabhupada has explained in today's purport that from the verse that real renunciation, even though it may be something may be a source of entanglement, if it's applied in the service of Krishna, it can be a source of liberation, just like milk products. So if there's a disturbance in the digestive system by the excess use of milk, but the same milk, when converted to yogurt, can be a cure. So like that, renunciation is something which is not based on simply a dress, but it's based on how do you dovetail what you have in Krishna's service, all your talents, all your abilities. If you use them in Krishna's service, they become a source of liberation. But if you use them in the service of Maya, based on activity in the modes of nature, it becomes a source of entanglement, deep entanglement. And we can see that. So people accumulate money. For what purpose? To use it in their own particular material purposes. Yes. And that is not real renunciation. This is, and not philanthropic service. Philanthropy, I was looking at recently a bio on Radhanath. Very interesting. And it started off by saying Radhanath is a philanthropist and a spiritual author. Two things. Well, philanthropy, helping other people. For what purpose? To feed them. So we are not practicing philanthropy with money. For example, if we get money, we should engage that money in Krishna's service, in Prabhupada's mission, which is publishing his books. One. Distributing prasadam, yes. Learning how to offer prasadam properly and distributing prasadam. It's a very valuable tool for spreading Krishna consciousness to other people. And in this way, use money to elevate the human society and elevate ourselves at the same time by dovetailing money in the service, Lakshmi Devi, in the service of Krishna. And we see some of these rich people, like they have hundreds of millions of dollars. And what do? You see them online. They've got a garage filled with exotic cars. Oh, wow. There's this fellow, Dana White, who is a very successful promoter in MMA worldwide. Very, very successful. And he was showing his garage. And he has like 100 exotic cars. Every car is worth $1 million. So he has $100 million of cars. What value is that? It's madness. Complete insanity. So this is the result of money being misused. For example, they say, Panchagota, that money is the root of all evil. Is it? No. Money is not the root of all evil. Money is a source of liberation for the conditioned soul if they use it in Krishna's service. If they don't use it in Krishna's service, it becomes a source of entanglement in material activities based on the modes of passion and ignorance. We see so many people who become successful in material life, and what happens to them? They end up wasting time. They end up wasting money. They end up addicted to alcohol. And this kills them. They drink themselves to death. So many people, they die early in life. They last to 30, 40, 50 years because with the money that they have, they use it for personal sense gratification. And it becomes a source of evil, not a source of liberation. So money can be very, very contaminating for the conditioned soul because they get the false sense of security with money. That's what happens. They don't think that Krishna is there. They think they're God. Prabhupada explains that they're trying to imitate Krishna. Oh yes, so many women, so many palaces and houses, so much facility to enjoy sense gratification, which is an illusion. And it perpetrates that illusion. Oh, I've got money. I can do anything I want. I don't have to listen to anybody. A lot of people are that way. Even in the spiritual circles, they get money. Our God brothers, some of them have money. Some of my friends who were God brothers of mine have hundreds of millions of dollars right now. Yes, they do. I know that as a fact. But is it a source of liberation for them? No, it's a source of entanglement and confusion and bewilderment and a cause of fall down. So money, if it's not dovetailed in the service of Krishna, is not a blessing. It's a contamination. And this causes total bewilderment. So this is due to money being blessed upon the person due to past karma. Yes. But money can be a real cause of the downfall of the conditioned soul. And there are so many examples. So therefore, just see how Prabhupada was handling his Lakshmi, Yashodanandana Prabhu. Very, very carefully. Even 15 cents, even $1, even 30 cents for bus fare there and back on his journey in New York City back in 1966. Like I said earlier in the discussion, it wasn't a Prabhupada people said, look at, he's tracking the money. No, he's doing accounting. He's conscious of what money is and how it should be used and how it should be respected. And Prabhupada was never attached to material possessions. I had practical experience when we purchased the Toronto Temple, by the way, which is worth over $40 million now. It's worth a lot of money. When we purchased the temple and Prabhupada came to open the temple with us, I handled all of the transactions, all the signatures, the corporation. At that time, Prabhupada entrusted me with that responsibility. Did he ask one time, Yashodanandana Prabhu, who's on title? Not one. That was one thing that really stood out in my mind, because he came for 4 days with us and he didn't mention once about money. We gave him a dakshin when he came, of course, and we were happy to do that, but he didn't ask for it. And he didn't ask about the title and who owned the property or anything like that. He just trusted us that we were doing it, everything in the service of Krishna. And that is the position of a devotee, that the devotee can be trusted. Not that there are private bank accounts and people thinking they're some kind of big shot because they've got money. Money is chanchala, by the way, panchagoda. Money comes and goes. It's flickering. But the service of Krishna goes on forever. It's timeless, beyond time and space. This material world is meaningless, really, in the grand perspective. It's meaningless, just like we are. Why? Prabhupada explained in a lecture. Because you're so teeny. That's how he said it, tiny. He said teeny. You're so teeny. You're so insignificant. You think you're important, but you're not. And what happens when you die, Panchagoda? Especially when you get older, you think, what's the value of all the money I've accumulated? What is it? Well, it's not going to have any value when you die. It was interesting, Yashodanandana Prabhu, that some devotee online was making a point. What is the will of the so-called new gurus in ISKCON? What are their wills? Have they been disclosed where their money is supposed to go? What they're supposed to do? Of course, this one Prabhu that I knew, Gopal Krishna, very crafty design of his will, very crafty. Only people that know him would understand how he manipulated his will for his own personal aggrandizement. I'm not going to discuss it because it's not necessary. But these things are going on. People are stashing money. Millions and millions of dollars. And then they're asking for donations. Oh, can you donate to me? Money. It can be a real source of confusion, of delusion, of bewilderment. If it's not properly engaged in the service of Krishna, like Srila Prabhupada did during his manifested presence. He dovetailed everything in Krishna's service, in the service of the mission of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. For sure we want Lakshmi, and we'll use that money for printing books. Yes, we will. That's one of our main functions here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society. We are not here for salaries. No. No one has taken a salary in 24 years. Nobody. And we will not become institutionalized so that we can get money. Sure, we'll be organized. We are organized people. We are smart business people. We are. We have lots of experience in tens of millions of dollars. But it is not our goal to become rich. Our goal is to channel everything in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his mission to spread Krishna consciousness worldwide. That is our business. Our business is not self-aggrandizement. So anyone who wants to work with us, please, if you have some Lakshmi, we want to help the people in Ukraine. They're very sincere. He's got his hand up, Panchagoda. They're very sincere, amazingly sincere, and that's a great celebration. Money can be dovetailed in Krishna's service effectively with proper leadership. Yes. And so we want to thank everyone for attending the program. Yashodanandana Prabhu, if you could further explain.
Just want to read a text from a lecture from Srila Prabhupada on the same verse that we were reading.
Yes.
This is a lecture from the PrabhupadaBooks.com in Vrindavan. And Prabhupada is explaining Karmana Devanetrena Janturdeo Papattaye from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:31:1. Simply by your so-called activities, you will be entangled in the law of karma. And according to your karma, you will get a different type of body and you will live for some time. And again, you will die. Again, you will get body. Again, you will. And you do not know what kind of body you're going to get. This is the entanglement. Yajnartat karmato nyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Bhagavad Gita 3:9. So if we want to be free from the entanglement of this karma, then we must work for Krishna. Krishna's other name is Yajna, Yajna Bhuja, Vishnu, Yajnartat Karmanaha. This is the chikitsitam, the material activities. You are becoming entangled and you are becoming more and more diseased. So you should be treated. How? The same thing. Milk. Rabri is also milk preparation. And dahi is also milk preparation. So you are becoming diseased by this process. Now you take this process, you'll be cured. Then you will be happy. Therefore it is said, Tadeva hiyamayam dravyam napuna trichikitsitam. We should handle everything material properly treated. Not to work for anyone. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us lesson that your Jiver Swarupai Nitya Krishna Das. Every living entity is eternally the servant of Krishna. So instead of becoming servant of your senses, just try to become the servant of Krishna. Then your life will be successful. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Let's leave the floor to some other more eminent devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Yashoda. And I wanted to mention about Yashodanandana Prabhu. To his embarrassment, I know he won't want to hear this, but he does make a tremendous effort to propagate the truth of the matter in terms of the correct parampara system, and he's been doing it all his life. So he spent his time, because time is our most valuable asset, not our money. It's a matter of how we engage our time in the service of the Supreme Lord, and how we can engage our facilities, our talents, our abilities in Krishna service and be expert in them. We're always praying amongst ourselves, please, Krishna, give us the facility, the intelligence to propagate this truth, because it's not easy. It's very difficult. There are a lot of obstacles that come in people's way as they try to serve. And we have to always stay determined. Look what happened to Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. We're just reading that he got his typewriter stolen. He got his dictaphone stolen. He got his book stolen. He had nothing. The person smashed in an office, broke the window and stole everything. And that's why he had to move out of that building. And he moved to the Bowery with Paul Murray, who was a drug addict punk and very dangerous. And eventually he started to threaten Srila Prabhupada with physical danger. So this is something that we have to really be serious about, is dovetailing ourselves 100% in this mission while we still can. And I want to come to Dharma Bhavana Prabhu in Dallas, Texas, and we'll move into the panel. We'll get to you, Panchagoda Prabhu. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm in the kitchen here. If you give me a few minutes, I'd like to read a few quotes from Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, and from people of this world that relate to exactly the same things we discuss in class over and over again. Is that okay?
That's why I wanted you to speak.
This from Srila Bhaktivinoda Saraswati Thakur. A chanter of the Kirtan of Hari is necessarily the uncompromising enemy of worldliness and hypocrisy. As chanter of the Kirtan of Hari, it is a constant function to dispel all misconceptions by the preaching of the truth in the most unambiguous form, without any respect of person, place, or time. That form is to be adopted, which is least likely to be misunderstood. It is his bounden duty to oppose clearly and frankly any person who tries to deceive and harm himself and other people by misrepresenting the truth due to malice or bona fide understanding. Okay, now we go to Srila Thakur Bhaktivinoda. One should compulsorily engage in endeavoring to trying to uplift the Vaishnava Dharma from the mud of contamination and trying to free it from all kinds of duratmya, wrong ideas and practices. That's from Bekadarana Sajjana Toshini. When the disciple prayerfully inquires from the spiritual master about the identity of true Vaishnavas, the Guru may point out persons who are dressed as Vaishnavas but are not following the Vaishnava principle Sadachar, and name them as Avaishnavas. This action on the part of the Guru is for the benefit of the disciple, because if the disciple unknowingly associates with these pretenders, then his spiritual life is ruined. And for the benefit of the whole world, when the pretenders are identified, the sanctity of the pure Vaishnava Dharma is protected in the world. The bona fide Guru does not do so because of envy or malice towards any individual, but he acts for the benefit of everyone. Now, something from Srila Prabhupada. This is Ridananda. Sometimes Prabhupada, when we expose them, the argument is, oh, you're a saintly person. Why are you criticizing me? Prabhupada says, no, it is not criticizing. It is opening your eyes. You are blind and you are thinking yourself as very big. So we are opening eyes. You are not big. You are not even pig or fig. That is, Agyana Tambarandasya, Gyanan Charan Shalakaya. You are blind with ignorance, So we are trying to open your eyes. See things as they are. It is favoring you. It is not criticizing you. That's Prabhupada Conversation, 1976. Then it says, we must therefore save ourselves and our fellow man in the right way. There is no question of liking or disliking the truth. It is there. If you want to be saved from repeated birth and death, we must take to the devotional service of the Lord. There can be no compromise, for this is a matter of necessity. Isha Upanishad 14 purport. We are not proud of this, however. The truth must be explained. That's from Chaitanya Charitamrita 795 purport, Adi Lila. And then a few quotes from people of this world. Facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passion, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. John Adams. Facts are peculiar things. They come together over time and will prove what they will prove. And facts are ultimately immune to opinions and the people who hold them. Unknown. During times of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. I kind of like that one. It's kind of powerful. George Orwell. A good journalist should present uncomfortable facts, question orthodoxies, highlight suppressed views. And one more. Facts are stubborn things, but statistics are pliable. Facts are facts and will not disappear on account of your likes. Now what I want is facts. Teach these boys and girls nothing but facts. Facts alone are wanted in life. Plant nothing else and root out everything else. You can only form the minds of reasoning animals upon facts. Nothing else will ever be of any service to them. So just a few of these from different types of people, the great acharyas, and so to speak, the people of the mature world. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, yeah, it's true. A lot of times people look at dissenters as fault finders. Dissension is common in different circles, especially in organizations, but they're meant to be discussed intelligently and resolved. So a lot of times we present facts, but they're distorted. They're misrepresented as faults, and this is not true. And this is a common thing that especially has gone in Prabhupada's wonderful mission, the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya. Let's go to Tim Lee for a minute and have him share some insights from his side of the world on the current situation that we're in. Paranjana Prabhu? He's probably
Hi,
running to get to his microphone switch.
Bo.
Yes, Paranjana Prabhu, please.
Hey,
Haribol.
hi, Bo. Well, this situation with Guru Raj is really spinning out of control. They just wrote another explanation, the EC, and the head person in charge of that is Guru Prasad. I don't know if people
Oh,
are aware of this, but Guru Prasad a couple of years ago made a whole lecture crying and crying and crying. He doesn't have any managers in his zone. Every little detail, I have to deal with it. And then they gave him the Delhi zone after he said he couldn't manage his own already zone. And now he's in charge of the Giri Raj steering committee to fix whatever they're going to fix with that. But it begs the question, if they knew this was, they said they knew this was going on for several years, why didn't they ever send a manager there to manage the situation if they knew it was out of control? I mean, they're just creating more questions than answers. That's for sure. But I mean, it's just out of control now. He was having sex in the temple room, so people are making memes. You know what a meme is? It's like a little photograph, and then people add little snarky comments to it.
ooh.
So here's a meme. It's a guy with his eyeballs really bulging out, like he's just seeing something awful going on in the distance, but they don't show you what he's looking at. And and the caption is, "You're having sex with your guru in the temple room because A, you're not wearing a kopin, B, Vaishnava aparad, C, not being a bona fide disciple, D, not having a bona fide guru." So this is a picture, a meme that somebody made. You know, so
The
I
answer
mean, I
is
hate to
all of
say
the
it, but
above.
what's that? All of the above. There you
There you go.
go. So it's it's becoming a joke, in other words, but it's a very
It's really
sad
sad.
joke because all these people, including this poor woman, which I pointed out in my explanation of the Gary Raj thing, this woman is a victim. You know, they're
Yeah.
all victims of this situation. And so I always feel bad for the victims, no matter how, people are now trying to attack this woman, but, keep in mind, she is a victim. She came to ISKCON, she came to the Hare Krishna religion, and she ended up all this difficulty because they told her, this is your guru, and he's a pure devotee, and blah, 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 blah. And, so it's very sad on the one hand. On the other hand, it's very kind of liberating to see everybody just coming out now and poking holes in this thing, and the GBC response is obviously ineffective and it's just not going to work. There's really nothing they can say at this point that's going to salvage the situation. I have a friend in South Africa. He said this is spreading in South Africa now, and it's just creating a lot of doubt and chaos and so on and so forth. So every time one of their you know, they're bogus people, that they claim is a pure devotee falls down. It creates chaos everywhere, and it causes a lot of suffering and difficulty. And many people never recover from it. So that is why these people go to the most obnoxious regions, I believe, because they create suffering. A person who creates suffering for other beings is sinful, and he's definitely going to hell. But if you do that in the guise of spirituality and you're Krishna's successor, well, then you're really going to be upsetting Krishna like on a major scale. You can't just take
Hmm.
Krishna, and dump on Krishna. That will never, ever, ever work. And you're going to infuriate, God is a person. He has feelings and he has sentiment and he has likes and dislikes, just like we do, because we're little minuscule particles. So we like things and we don't like things. And it's the same with Krishna. So if he sees people taking the pose of his successor, and I've made this point many, many times with people, if the guru is Sakshat Hari, he is the same as Krishna, then he can't be defective. He can't be a deviant. He can't be a debauchee. He can't be uh, a criminal. Because then we're saying that Krishna is Sakshat Hari. He's the same as a debauchee and a criminal. That's not going to fly at all. And I do see why, they're destined for the most obnoxious regions. Anyway, I feel overall it's good. And other people are saying, oh, well, this is going to help the Ritviks. Well, yeah, no kidding. People are going to say, wait a minute, I got a letter from somebody. He says, Giri Raj is his fourth guru, guru number 4. Am I going to take guru number 5? No, I'm going to have Prabhupada as my guru. And I'm going to post his letter. But, same thing. He's just done with it. And he's just going to take shelter of Prabhupada. So little by little, these are progressive things for us. Haribol.
Well, I also saw a post, and we'll move to our hands up with Panchagoda and Nilesh Sharma. But I saw a post of a Prabhu this is his third guru, and I mentioned it earlier this week in our class that as a result of this, experience with the ISKCON fake gurus, he's decided just to go and look at other ashrams and the Gaudiya Math and this and that, and try to find some kind of alternative to them. I wish he would come to our classes. I wish he would be a part of this, like I wish a lot of our God brothers would, but everybody is in a state of anarchy. They just do what they want. They're not interested in working with other people or helping in the spreading of the mission. So this is, like you said, Paranjana, these types of things are very serious karmically for the people that commit this misrepresentation of our disciplic succession to other sincere seekers. Panchagoda in what's that
Maybe
country?
seniors will go first. Nilesh Sharma Prabhu, I will go after him.
No, go ahead, speak. We'll
All
go
right.
in order.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say that I was doing some translation work for
Oh,
of our meetings and got some series of feedbacks with questions from several God brothers.
okay.
One of big questions that was raised among devotees and that the devotees, they were not connected with each other. So that why do we look for the dirty laundry of God brothers, even if it's fact finding, not the fault finding, as we call. I'm reading some notes that I got together. So especially while we cannot influence those deviating persons directly. And just like the fresh one, we translated and discussed, Yashodanandana Prabhu, he sent me the post where one ISKCON sannyasi, I'm not mentioning his name, he was touching and hugging young girls. And also one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam was attached. It's 11th canto, 8th chapter, verse 13. 11th canto, 8th chapter, verse 13. I will just read shortly the translation. A saintly person should never touch a young girl. In fact, he should not even let his foot touched by a wooden doll in the shape of a woman. So, yes, absolutely, pretenders are so far from the saintly persons, which should be represented by the dress they wear. But should we point the finger on these bewildered souls? If we see that they behave like demons, is it worth our time and energy to talk about them almost on every meeting? Is it better to direct our energies in glorifying the Son of Krishna in this material world? For this age of Kali, the sun or the moon is Srila Prabhupada for us. Don't we have to concentrate our efforts more on printing books? For example, that we with demons trying to withhold, for example, that Conversations 37 volume set, right? Why do not concentrate our efforts to reprint that, to glorify his divine grace all around the world by his own preaching? So that big organization, as we know, they are not printing. So why don't we make that humble attempt ourselves? With, for example, same fundraising program you've done with Srimad Bhagavatam. And who will go against such Maharathas as you, Prabhus? And we heard the case that murtis of that guru cheaters that you mentioned are being spread in houses of devotees. And we got more inspirations. And we got that Srila Prabhupada Murti and now working on their quality and quantity. So in that case of like sleeping disciples of that so-called gurus themselves, they will have opportunity to compare the moon-like pure devotees Vani and thousands of stars, even not stars, but fake stars like Pondraka imitations of Lord Krishna. And why to spend our precious time over and over again like this fault finding?
Okay, well,
So,
that's a
yeah.
lot. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of points there. The overall answer is this, that these people do not understand the philosophy of Guru Tattva, obviously. And they don't understand how we're engaging our time in trying to give people that proper understanding. For example, we're reading all these different sections from the books. It's Prabhupada speaking. If they're reading the books, they'll see that. And when these people are being misled by other people, you have to stand up. You cannot sit down and say, well, we are reading Krishna conscious books, the Prabhupada unedited books. We are discussing them, and people are interested in this subject. Why are we doing this? Because this is the right way to do things. How do they know? They never met Prabhupada. They never associated with him. They never understood his mission. And obviously, they think that this is fault finding. They're wrong. You can tell them to call me. They can call anybody up on this group call, but have them call me up. I'll speak to them about it. Some of us do know what's going on, and we're not concentrating on it. We're reading the Bhagavatams. We're reading the Gita. We're reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're reading the diaries. And in the context of this, people are interested in discussing these issues. Prabhu, tell them this. Was it us that put up the video on the Facebook worldwide where everybody's reviewing what has gone on in these groups? These ISKCON groups? Was it us? No. We're not spreading that. We're discussing it because it's something that's there, and the truth must be explained. And we're explaining it politely and graciously to give other people who are being misled a chance to follow this mission with the proper understanding of what is Guru Tattva, which is the essence of this philosophy. Yashodanandana Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, before Yashodanandan Prabhu speaks, I have a question for both Yashodanandan Prabhu and also in response to Panchagauda Prabhu. Can I?
Yes,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Prabhuji,
Yes.
very important questions have been raised over here about pretenders and about those who claim themselves following. As Panchagauda Prabhu said very nicely, is that yes, why don't we focus our attention only on spreading Prabhupada's message? The question is, it is all married together. If you see the Prabhupada's pranam mantra, he says what? Shunyavadi, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gaurabani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Nirvishesha means the ones who are Mayavad, and Shunyavadi, the ones who are Buddhist or voidist. Both of these philosophies have to be defeated because you have to prove your theory. Just like when you say that why are you distributing only the 1972 Macmillan edition? Now, I may think that I'm reading ISKCON's books and I'm thinking that I am following Srila Prabhupada, but am I really following Srila Prabhupada? That is the question. So it is very much interrelated to that. And the reason why we have to speak up when something is wrong is because Srila Prabhupada is misrepresented. It is misrepresented. I may read the ISKCON books and think that I'm following Srila Prabhupada, but I'm not following Srila Prabhupada. It is very obvious. If I were to follow the Nirvisheshvadis, what is my final destination? I will be merging into Brahma Jyoti. If I follow the Shunyavadi, what is my final destination? I'm going to again be in Brahma Jyoti. You know, what if I am following on the Paramatma feature? Until and unless I don't come to the Bhagavan feature, I'm not going to know the absolute truth. So in order for us to know what's going on, we have to expound what is wrong. We cannot behave like Dronacharya and like Bhishma Pitama and await the disrobing of Draupadi and think that we are not doing it, so we should focus only on the goodness. No, we have to speak when something is wrong, when something has been misquoted. And at this point, I would like to ask Yashodanandan Prabhu, and that is why I interjected, is that when we go and listen to the pretenders say, oh, Prabhupada would be so happy. Because remember, it has nothing to do with a contact with Prabhupada or not. Because these people were also in contact with Prabhupada, so were you and Vishwakarma Prabhu also in contact with Prabhupada. Some of you chose to follow the instructions to the word. Some of you followed to change the instructions suiting your needs. Now, if I were to go and I'm somebody who is totally what you call new to the movement, and I listen to the pretenders say, no, Prabhupada is happy with us. And then I come over here and listen to you, and you say, no, Prabhupada is happy with us. Now, my question to you, Yashodananda Prabhu, is if, in your opinion, Prabhupada was to descend down and see what is happening, what would be his reaction and what would be his statement? And why should pretenders, you should not be labeled as pretender while the pretenders should be labeled as pretenders? Because we have to be very clear on this issue. And please expound on this and make this very clear for all of us. Hare Krishna.
Well, this is a very crucial fundamental point. The leaders in ISKCON will say that they're pleasing Prabhupada, they're expanding, they have so many temples, they have so many devotees. But when devotees pose the question, what happened to these original disciples that were engaged in a mission under Srila Prabhupada? What happened to all these people? What do they say? I've heard all kinds of ridiculous explanations. Oh, they were all envious, they were all nonsense. The fact of the matter is these people were kicked out. They were discouraged away, driven away, and unfortunately, that whole system that they have was based on disobedience of Prabhupada's instruction, especially with regards to initiations. And as a result, practically in every system, whether it's deity worship, kirtan, the change books, there's so many discrepancies and deviations from Prabhupada standards. Now, anybody can make any outlandish claim that because they have some buildings and some followers, that is not the criteria. In 1970 in New York, devotees went to Srila Prabhupada and he told them, oh, Prabhupada, we want to open hundreds of temples. And Prabhupada's reply, yes, that is very nice, but if you do not follow the instruction of the spiritual master, it will all be show bottle. Prabhupada, you know what show bottle is? Prabhupada's in India sometimes. They will put a glass bottle with red light, blue light, yellow light, with some water in it. It is simply for show. It has no medicine in it. So my point is, okay, you have all these temples, but why are so many discrepancies and so much crazy behavior going on? Just a few days ago on Facebook, a few days ago on, is somebody trying to speak? Or a few days ago on Facebook, there was an advertisement from an ISKCON center in Sacramento. They're trying to advertise some kind of compassionate care or caring for devotees. But this is the same group of people that physically assaulted and beat up Bhakti Ronald Singh in Sacramento just a few months ago. So what are they talking about? Okay, they're talking about this purity. What purity? Purity means you got to follow the instruction. People cannot manufacture their own ways of following Prabhupada. And this is what we're seeing on so many levels. And the foremost of this is this political nonsense that you should not discuss things. You should just leave it to the GBC and don't discuss things. That is not allowed. That's why all over the world, people are going on Facebook, on different email threads and different blogs and discussing things despite the prohibition by the GBC, because the minute they start discussing their history, the whole discussion falls apart. How do acharyas who are representative of Krishna, who are supposed to be pure devotees of Krishna, engage in so many prohibitive activities? Baladev Vidyabhushana, our Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya, writes in his Pramana Ratnavali, Bhavati Vichintya Vidusham Niravakara Guru Parampara Nityam Ekantitvam Siddhyati Yayati Yena Haritosham, that one will obtain the pleasure and the mercy of Lord Hari by meditating on this eternal Guru Parampara, and the members are completely faultless and pure. Now imagine if we start meditating on this so-called Parampara, this self-appointed Parampara, this elected, voted-in Parampara they have, and what is going on. These impurities have come because of disobedience of Prabhupada's instruction, the foremost of which is this bogus, nonsensical, farcical idea that Prabhupada appointed 11 devotees as his successors and has appointed Diksha Guru. It's a lie, of falsehood and nonsense. And I challenge anybody in this country to prove it. You don't like the way we're speaking? Prove it. Explain to us when, where, and how you were appointed as Prabhupada's successor. When? They can't answer. Their leader has admitted that this idea of guru appointment was a myth, and they're still going on. More appointment, more voting, more nonsense. This is the root cause of the disease, which goes even deeper when we start analyzing the circumstances pertaining to Prabhupada's departure in 1977. Now, this particular program, we've never dealt with this issue. Anybody is entitled to their realization or beliefs or understanding, but there are many troubling statements from His Divine Grace Himself that he was being mistreated. Now, I've heard the argument, no, this is not possible. A pure devotee is protected by Krishna. Well, Haridas Thakur was protected by Krishna. Did it stop people from trying to harm him? Prahlad Maharaj was protected by Krishna. Jesus Christ was also protected by Krishna. The Pandavas were. It never stops envious people from trying to harm a pure devotee. Now, the foremost damage to Prabhupada's mission is the poisoning of his teaching and his mission that starts with the changing and the molesting of his books. That is the most dangerous nonsense thing. I'll stop for now and I'll pass on to Vishwakarma. Thank you. And this is a topic that we'll deal again later also.
Well, we're dealing with it. Thank you, Prabhu. And, the changing of the books and the justification of the changing from he has seen the truth to they have seen the truth is the crux of the matter. And it is documented historically that they tried to justify their role. And Panchagoda, you can explain to them, this is an important issue. Don't minimize it. You're minimizing it because you have an opinion. Okay. And I will get Nilesh to speak for a minute just before we wind up, but I just wanted to say, Panchagoda, there was such a long list there. It was basically had the same theme, but at the same time, we could deal with specific issues because people are asking these questions. And we would like, so in future classes, you can bring up one at a time. It's easier when you have like 10 points. It's hard to follow them because you have to do one at a time. So next time we will deal with them and explain why we're doing this. And hopefully they'll understand why and they'll feel better about their own spiritual life and not hide in the closet or live in a cover-up, because that's what it is. Nilesh, Shama.
One point which I want to make to Panchagoda Prabhu is this, is that we have to show them that if you were to choose to follow the so-called pretender, then what is going to be your result? Look at what Paranjana Prabhu said, that this person went through four spiritual masters. But look, Prabhupada's mercy and Krishna's mercy is on him because now he has decided to surrender to Prabhupada. But not everybody is lucky. Look at the example which Vishwakarma Prabhu said, that this person went to 3 spiritual masters and now he wants to go to all different types of sects and not surrender to Prabhupada yet. Now, what kind of havoc these people are creating, you need to know for yourself. And so show them the results, that the proof of the pudding lies in tasting of it, as John Lennon used to say. So the proof of this whole system is its result. See what the result is affecting. And so until and unless we don't 100% surrender to Prabhupada and his original teaching, we are still being cheated, and this will be what our results will be. So the results have to be discussed. The negativity has to be discussed to prove a point that if you do not follow the actual readings, actual teachings, look at what your result is going to be. Hare Krishna.
Very interesting. Many, many points. Panchagoda, please, let's finalize this up.
Yeah, just a very short point. I want to clarify that the devotees, they follow strictly Srila Prabhupada. They cancel all their listening to other so-called gurus and so on. Their questioning was only about this false finding. So this is only...
That's okay. Let them be with us. You know, we are leading Prabhupada's mission. And if people don't want to follow, that's fine. Go ahead and follow yourself. Make your own conclusions, do your own classes, do whatever you want. We're seeing practically that not very many people are really serious about working with Prabhupada disciples. That's the fact. And look at their situation. They're in Ukraine and they're in Russia. They are victims of Hari Kesh. They're victims of Radhanath, the philanthropist. They're victim of Bhakti Vidya Purna, Bhakti Vigyan, Bhakti Chaitanya, whoever he is. People we've never heard of that are all part of a new line of disciplic succession, which is completely bogus. How about that? Is that important? Yeah. How do you start building a movement when the foundation is destroyed by these imposters? Start there and then build up. So we'll leave it at that. There's a lot to be said. And thank you, Prabhu, for bringing them up. And thank you, everyone, for being a part of our group today. We do apologize if we've made any mistakes or offenses with other people. It's not our goal. And we are enthusiastic and sort of fierce with this because just like the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Prabhu, there was a lot of disagreement between the fratricidal brothers. So we're all brothers, but we don't agree with these people. And we will not stop, and we will keep going, and we will seek the mercy of our spiritual master in all our endeavors. All glories to the Sankirtan mission. Let's move forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna for 2.5 minutes. In the kirtan, it was a long talk today. It's already 12 noon up here, so we apologize for the extended version, but some days that's the way it is. And this is what we're going to do. All glories to the Sankirtan mission.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas who have inspired us of wonderful discussion in the service of Srila Prabhupada. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. I want to thank Bhakti Rupesh Prabhu in Bombay, India, Mumbai, India, for his very nice class management, Vishwakarma Prabhu in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and our perpetual very, very active debater and polemicist, Sri Nilesh Sharma Prabhu in Miami, Florida. I love those discussions, and we definitely will start again on Thursday for Chaitanya Charitamrita reading at 5:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, corresponding to 8:00 Florida time in Hamilton, Ontario. Thanks everybody for participating. Panchagoda, Rochisa Mataju in Montreal, and everybody that participating. Thank you so much. Welcome. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,